if Republicans do not work with Democrats in a Mr. President, if Republicans do not work with Democrats in a bipartisan way very soon, the government will shut down at midnight. It's time to go back to the original agreement we had just a few days ago. It's time the House votes on our bipartisan CR.
The Lizard King speaks. That's the scaly, reptilian Democrat Majority Leader in the United States Senate, Chuck Schumer. He said, hey, let's go back to that 1,547-page thing that had the kitchen sink in it. And then we'll pretend we're doing the right thing. Let's lie to everybody again. If he set out to become a bigger liar, I really don't think he could accomplish that. Lying is his bag, baby. Now, I've got a bit of breaking news with you, and I'm going back to the telephones just a moment. Bit of breaking news just happened. Kamala Harris today is scheduled to fly to California, where they think she's going to run for governor, and they're so dumb there she might win. Just when you think things can't get worse in California. But she was getting on Air Force Two to fly to California today, and something strange happened. They've announced that her trip to California has been canceled, and she's being rushed back to the White House, not to the vice president's residence, but to the White House. And that all by itself is peculiar. Newsweek magazine, Kamala Harris cancels California trip, goes to White House. That's the headline at Newsweek. She doesn't really work there or live there. And then the Daily Mail out of the United Kingdom, Kamala Harris suddenly cancels Los Angeles trip to remain in D.C. She was headed there for Christmas, for the holiday. She's on vacation. She quit. She's done with all this. And then the next headline, White House in crisis, ? Biden and Harris cancel Christmas trips and rush back amid speculation of emergency. Now, that's the Times of India, the empire. But at the same time, they're on top of the news more than the New York Times is. They actually follow the news at the Times of India. So Joe Biden was headed to Delaware, and understand he had to turn around and come back. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris abruptly canceled their holiday plans on Friday, fueling speculation about an ongoing emergency at the White House, as per various reports. Neither has issued a public statement, leaving the nation guessing about the sudden changes. Biden, who was expected to spend Christmas in Delaware, reportedly returned to Washington, D.C., taking his motorcade directly from the airport to the White House late in the evening last night. Similarly, Harris canceled her planned flight to California and stayed in the capital city of Washington. Harris had planned to be in Los Angeles until Monday, but her office provided no reason for the last-minute cancellation, leaving many to wonder if the political turmoil over the government funding was the cause, or was it something else? Is it the fake government shutdown, which is just theater, show business, or is there something real going on? The Lizard King wants to, maybe they think they've got a food fight that they can get into, a political food fight, and their pals in the media. That may be all there is to it. But it's pretty clear that they don't care. Joe Biden doesn't care what happens. Kamala Harris doesn't care what happens. So it's peculiar. It's odd, to be sure. Now, with that said, let's see. Let's go back to the telephones, Michael. And on the line, we have Gene calling from Youngstown, Ohio. Gene, you're on the Chris Plante Show.
Yeah, good morning, Chris. So, like I was saying, this CR bill, the vote no and all that has kind of got me confused. I thought my politics were really clear. I was on the same page as Trump just about 90-some% of the time, and nothing big as far as the times when I'm not, but this one's kind of a big one. It seems like you're saying that the 38 people that voted no are wrong, too. Now, my congressman who was appointed, now he got elected, he voted with Trump, so maybe I should be happy of that. But I commented on his Facebook page, I'd like a clean CR for Christmas, and I don't know whether we got that. I mean, the money's the same, it looks like. They didn't even deduct for less paper. And then I heard that there's still some transgender money for doing something with children, teaching them something, and that just kind of destroys my thinking about the whole thing. So,
yeah,
and then like I said, I had a testimonial for you, but
a testimonial. What's your testimonial?
Yeah. Well, my testimonial is that I'm a courier. I drive a lot, and I have one. I bought 3 of the Eden Pure Oxyleafs, and I have one on my dashboard. And whenever I come to a light and I start smelling something that smells like a Democrat, I turn it on. Or maybe there's a dead skunk in the road, and the smell comes into the cabin, even if I don't have the windows down. So it clears it right up right away.
That is just great. That is wonderful. So even leftists are no match for the Eden Pure Thunderstorm and for the Oxyleaf.
That is correct.
That's amazing.
Especially if I get one of those Democrats that's vaping. Now, I don't know whether they're vaping or their car is smoking. It could be either.
Well, usually they're smoking dope, at least around Washington, D.C., where pot is legal now. Everywhere you go, the smell of pot is in the air. That might explain a lot of what's going on Capitol Hill, too.
All right. Well, I hope I get cleared up. Maybe I got to go home and read the bill and see what's in it before I decide where I'm at. But I am not reading any 1,500 pages.
Right.
That's for sure, unless it's on audiobook.
And that's it. Yeah, you had to spend a lot of time on the road. You could, arrive in Seattle by the time you finish the book, the audio book. But
yeah, well, it's I drive about 4,000 or 5,000 miles a month.
No kidding. Is that right? I drive very little. I live in the city and I live close to work and I drive. In fact, this is crazy. I bought my car, the car that I drive right now. I bought 9 years ago on New Year's Eve.
Wow.
On New Year's Eve. So I'm about a week away ish, 2 weeks.
Oh, wow.
From having my car for 9 years. Now listen to this. I'm about to cross 20,000 miles.
Well, I might get there with my truck because I don't hardly drive that anymore. I used to lease vehicles, but then that got too expensive, so I just decided to buy out my truck. But the car I drive, it's a 2015. It's got the company car, 347,000 miles on it.
Wow. Yeah, my car, 9 years old, and I have, I kid you not, 19,930-something miles on it. So I expect to cross 20,000 miles right at the 9-year mark on my car. And that's, city living. I don't live far from anything.
Right. Well, I don't know where you park it, but if you park it on the street in D.C., the bumpers probably look like they got.
Well, yeah, that's true. And I did. I parked for years and years. I always parked on the street. Until about 2 years ago, I got an off-street parking lot, still outside, but I got a parking space outside. It was very exciting, I've got to say. Gene, thank you very much.
Hey,
you're great. Have a very Merry Christmas.
Take care.
Thank you, Gene. Merry Christmas. Should I sing? I probably shouldn't sing. All right, let's get, but since Gene was just talking about this and as member of Congress and stuff, let's go to Senator Mark Wayne, because I got to say, Mark Wayne Mullen, Oklahoma, United States Senator. He has been on my television show at Newsmax. And I got to say, just a real regular guy, a solid guy, no-nonsense guy. And I think he bench presses 400 pounds. He's a sturdy guy, too. Midwest, the backbone of America. And Gene, I want you to listen to this because Mark Wayne Mullen, good Republican, Oklahoma. And I just played audio for you of Chuck Schumer, the Lizard King. He wants to bring back the 1,547-page bill with everybody's kitchen sink, and from the Ukrainians to the communist Chinese to the transgender, everybody, because the Democrats are very corrupt people. And Schumer is the Lizard King of the corrupt, and the corruptniks. I like to call them the corruptniks. But Mark Wayne Mullen, and this was last night on the television, Mark Wayne Mullen, talking about where the situation stood.
What he doesn't realize is that Schumer is wanting to hold the debt limit over President Trump's head to negotiate on reconciliation, because the Republicans in the Senate cannot pass reconciliation without having Democrat support, because it takes 60 votes. We can't do it with just 51. We have to have 60.
And you see, and the Democrats, they want to do away with that, the filibuster, the 60 vote requirement for everything, so they can give everything the bum's rush. And Markwayne Mullin is standing up for Trump. And I heard him last night. I was driving in my car coming home from Newsmax, and I was listening to Markwayne Mullin, and I said, Markwayne Mullin has got his finger on the pulse here. He really does. And Schumer is naturally trying to corrupt everything and steal as much money as he can of our money and lie to us and then give us that lizard smirk with the tongue sticking out of the corner of his mouth and like a cartoon lizard. Markwayne Mullin. And you see, President Trump is saying, all right, let's get rid of, and Gene, this is for you. President Trump is saying, let's get rid of the debt ceiling altogether, right? And what it is, it's Trump negotiating out in the open. And it's, and obviously conservative Republicans say, are you out of your mind? Elizabeth Warren jumped in and said, I agree with President Trump. Let's do away with the debt limit forever and bankrupt this awful, terrible, racist country. And she is a racist, but and most of her friends are too, I'm sure. But Markwayne Mullin, Senator Markwayne Mullin from Oklahoma, said, listen, President Trump has got a play. He's got a strategy. He's negotiating. He's not even in the White House yet. And Putin says he wants to sit down and negotiate peace in Ukraine, which is what Trump said ahead of time. Trump said, release the hostages to the terrorists in Gaza that the Democrats support and send money to, and have their students and their children supporting the terrorists because the Democrat Party loves terrorism. They gave us the White Knights of the KKK, Students for a Democratic Society, name a terrorist group in the United States of America. The Democrats created it. But here's Markwayne Mullin talking about President Trump and Schumer, the Lizard King, the Democrats trying to undermine, trying to sabotage. President Trump doesn't want to do away with the debt limit. He wants to take it off the table right now, for now.
What Schumer is doing here is Schumer's going to hold the president, hold the American people, and hold our economy hostage to make a lot worse deal moving forward.
A much worse deal moving forward. Of course, that's exactly right. And what about President Trump? Why would he be asking to get rid of the debt ceiling?
Keep in mind, President Trump is the art of the deal maker. He understands what it's going to take to do the job. He's forward thinking because he's been there before. He knows that if he doesn't get this debt limit now, that this is going to be held over his head, and he's going to be blamed for possibly defaulting on our debt.
Interesting. Well, what about that? You mean President Trump may be outmaneuvering them, maybe outsmarting them, and honestly, Gene, the reason I was saying that the Republicans that voted against it last night should have voted for it is because you just got to say, all right, I don't know what he's doing yet, but I've got to give Trump enough credit and respect to believe that he's got, he's playing chess, and the rest of us are thinking checkers. And Trump is saying, let's set that aside for now. And that's why last night I decided, you know what, Trump's got a plan here. I may not know what it is, but Markwayne Mullin.
Now, think about that happens. You're going to see the stock market crash. You're going to see the currency devalue. And what President Trump ran on is getting America going again for the American people. Get the economy going. MAGA, make America great again. And these individuals that got elected because MAGA now is going against the very man that got him elected. And it's shameful.
I would say give Trump enough credit to believe that he's got a plan and a strategy in place.
When we go back, we're going to have to negotiate because the House Republicans are being held hostage now by a group of people. And I hate to say it because what they're saying philosophically is not wrong. We know that. But you got to understand the room that you're trying to work with, and the hand you're dealt, you got to play with. It's not a perfect hand you got to play with. And so now we got to negotiate with the Democrats.
Yeah, which nobody wants to do. And, Trump's got a plan.
And President Trump wants to take this gun away from his head that Schumer's going to use. What the dirty secret is that people don't realize is we had a deal. We had a deal last week that was going to be able to give this debt limit a clean slate, allow the president to move forward. Chuck Schumer walked away from the table. So it's Chuck Schumer that did this, not President Trump. And unfortunately, we have individuals now that's not listening to President Trump by saying we've got to get rid of the debt limit now because they're going to use it against him for him to actually hit the agenda that the American people gave us November 5th.
So I would say have a little faith, have a little trust, calm down. Trump's negotiating. He's working his way through this, and join him. You know, if you think it's taking one for the team, okay. But I think it's winning one for the team. Just a 10. I know. But, ... Also, you got to get past Inauguration Day, and then, you can start throwing the furniture. Make your holidays bigger and brighter with Prize Picks this year, the best place to get real money action while you're enjoying your favorite sports. With more than 10 million members and billions of dollars in awarded winnings, Prize Picks has made daily fantasy sports available to all of us very conveniently. The app is incredibly simple to use. You pick 2 or more players across any sport, let's say NFL football, college football. Pick more or less on their projections, and you could win up to 1,000 times your money. Join right now because this holiday season, Prize Picks is giving away 2 free picks in December, and they're giving away $30 million+ in rewards during what we like to call Pixmas. Prize Picks Christmas. It's Pixmas. Download the Prize Picks app. Download it today and use the code PLANT, P-L-A-N-T-E, to get a $50 credit instantly when you play only $5. That's the code PLANT at Prize Picks to get a $50 credit instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to get your $50 bonus. It's guaranteed either way. Prize Picks, run your game. Must be present in certain states where wagering is legal. Visit prizepicks.com for details and restrictions. Yes, sir. Yeah, so, Gene, I hope that makes you feel better. And I really, I know that Trump is outplaying the rest of the room. And the Republicans in the House should take the win, even though you lose one over there, because there's a longer game being played. Chris here with a list of things that none of us should trust. The Washington Post, the New York Times, anything on CNN. Here's a list of things that I do trust. The Washington Times. Support real journalism for just $1 a week at WashingtonTimes.com/Chris. Did you see that in New York, where they flew Luigi Mangione, the CEO assassin, the murderer, the CEO hater, the capitalism hater? And he could face the death penalty under federal, because the Democrats want to pardon all the federal death penalty people. But they're terrified in New York that they won't be able to find a jury that will convict Luigi. They're very afraid. Be afraid, be very afraid that the Democrat jury will come in to make sure that Luigi Mangione is not found guilty of the murder, because the Democrat Party is pro-murder and pro-CEO assassination. Well, I shared with you the news reporting on Kamala Harris returning to the White House. She was supposed to be on an airplane headed to California for her Christmas vacation, well-deserved vacation. She works so hard, doesn't she? Work. Hello, boys. I missed you last night. The update is, and I have an update because, I know a few people in town. I just talked about it on the radio and read to you from news reports about Kamala returning to Washington and Joe Biden returning to the White House, and they both, what is up with that? Sounds like, hey, is there some kind of crisis going on? Maybe it's just the oh no, the government might shut down at midnight tonight show business, fake hysteria. It's all a terrible cable television series. But I have friends in high places, or medium high places at least. And here's the here's the update. Kamala Harris has to stay in Washington in case there is a tie vote in the Senate, and she has to be there to break the tie. So because over the government shutdown, right, and the House passes and the Republicans get it, and then the Democrats fight it because they want to destroy Christmas for everyone. They hate children. They like their organs, though. They do like to harvest their organs. So that is not that they hate children completely. It is on the outside. And so Kamala has to stay in Washington in case there's a need for the vice president of the United States. She's still the vice president, believe it or not. And in case there's the need for a tie-breaking vote in the Senate. So she can't go. That's why that was pulled back. Now, Joe Biden was in Delaware. He was in Delaware, and he was there, it turns out, to commemorate the anniversary of the loss of his first wife and their daughter. Terrible, horrible car accident many decades ago. A horrible story, obviously. A terrible story. And so he was in Baltimore for that. Now, he's back at the White House, but that's not a surprise to anybody at the White House. He was expected back at the White House. So the alarms that went off over Kamala canceling her California trip and Joe Biden coming back from Delaware, turns out, never mind. Never mind the reports that are in print and online. It's not a big deal. And then Joe Biden and his wife, who is not a doctor, will on December 26th, day after Christmas, of course, they're going to fly to St. Croix in the Virgin Islands, the U.S. Virgin Islands, and they're going to be on vacation there, you see, right? But then they've got to come back on New Year's Eve to Delaware to go to a wedding because somebody invited them to a wedding and they have to go to the wedding. So it turns out that there are multiple reports, and Kamala did, for now at least, drop the trip to California, but it's not as alarming or concerning as it may have originally looked. And so I wanted to update you with that because that's important. You know what I'm saying? Womp, womp, womp. So let's go back because, you know, the news media, they're very spun up about all this stuff. Let's just get by these idiot media people. Let's go to soundbite number 10. Number 10. And they have this, is he transgender? Chris Hayes at MSDNC. He is the kind of quasi-male version of Rachel Maddow. You know? And here's Chris Hayes on his TV show last night. And I got to tell you, he's talking about Congressman Steve Scalise, the Republican whip in the House of Representatives, who was shot and nearly killed by a Bernie Sanders campaign volunteer named James Hodgkinson, who was on a suicide mission, and he was gunned down, of course. And he shot Congressman Steve Scalise. And here comes Chris Hayes, the fake, corrupt news media, on, those terrible, awful Republican people.
The American people are paying zero attention to any of this. Zero!
Well, it's your
news story. The
story.
Republican House Majority Leader, Steve Scalise, confirmed the bill's not dead.
Not dead. And neither is he.
It's unclear what comes next. But Elon Musk, the guy who's running things in the Republican Party, and I guess the country, says he wants a shutdown.
No.
It's not going to hurt him. There's hundreds of billions of dollars.
No.
He's already declaring victory on Twitter, posting, "Your elected representatives have heard you." Oh, yeah, us. And now the terrible bill is dead, says the billionaire. The voice of the people, meaning me, has triumphed.
Well, yeah, the 1,547-page bill that was filled with corruption brimming over. And you're the fake news media. You're the fourth estate. You're supposed to be holding government's feet to the fire. Instead, you know, you lick their boots and you're a Democrat hack. Also, did you see they're issuing pay cuts at MSNBC because they have no ratings? Have you seen that? They have no ratings. So now it turns out there are multiple people at MSDNC that are taking pay cuts because they don't have any ratings because nobody's watching because they lie all the time. And that used to be frowned upon. It's not frowned upon very much anymore. But that's going on at MSDNC. And who is it that's got the other multiple pay? Joyless Reed is taking a pay cut. I said maybe from $3 million to $2 million for Joyless Reed. she's going to cry racism. They'll probably restore her previous pay because, that's like that. It's Joyless Reed, and who else is taking them? Oh, yeah, Stephanie Ruhle, who we played audio of her the other day. She called President Trump on his cell phone, and he answered. And then she said that he told her to beep off. But that's not true. That's not true because she lies all the time. Now, there's a crazy Democrat congresswoman named Rosa DeLauro. She is, I believe, 81 years old. I've interviewed her, not for a very long time. She was, well, not quite young when I interviewed her, but it was a long time ago. And Rosa DeLauro has purple hair, bright purple hair, 81 years old. She dyes her hair like she's a sophomore in high school. And Rosa DeLauro was there yesterday. This is on the floor of the House of Representatives, where the radical left-wing extremist purple-haired 81-year-old, and it's like magnetic purple, like your Schwinn Stingray was. And she came down, and they've got this thing for Elon Musk. I think they all want to date him. They're very angry with him because he bought Twitter, and they used it for propaganda and for disinformation and misinformation and to trample the truth, like the, working with the FBI, which is, what Benito Mussolini defined as fascism, a merger of state and corporate power. Twitter under Jack Dorsey and the Democrats and the FBI. Canceled. Don't let anybody share that story about Hunter Biden's laptop. It's Russian disinformation. Turns out they were the Russian disinformation. But here's Rosa DeLauro yesterday. And listen, those Republicans, they're sabotaging the bill. And then keep in mind, Rosa DeLauro went on to vote against it. Now listen to this.
They got scared because President Musk told them, President Musk said, don't do it. Don't do it. Shut the government down. Imagine.
Yeah, and then she voted against it. Right? So they're trying to kill the bill. They don't, and the 1,547-page bill, it's supposed to be just keep things as usual for 3 months or so. It's a continuing resolution and nothing more, but they turn it into everything more. And this corrupt Democrat probably threw in her own kitchen sink to the 1,547-page bill where everybody got everything that ever dreamed of. And she indicts, Elon Musk, he's President Musk, and they have the brains of children, the mouths of teenagers, and they're unserious people. Rosa DeLauro.
What does he know about what people go through is when the government shuts down? Are his employees furloughed? Hell no. Is he furloughed? No.
You should be furloughed. Let's shut the government down just so you don't have a hot microphone. How about that? Amazing stuff. And the ridiculous people on The View, Whoopi Goldberg, and that gang of miscreants that they all make millions of dollars too, millions and millions of dollars, and they're just so awful. And listen to Whoopi's brain damage. And have you seen her? She looks like she's rehearsing for a role in like a Star Wars movie or something. She's like an Ewok from another galaxy. But Whoopi.
Who is in charge? Because I've been saying it for a while.
Yes, you have.
I've been
Yes,
saying
you
that
have.
I think Elon Musk believes he's president. I do.
Well, you've been calling him vice president.
I've called him vice president. I called him president because I don't know what JD is doing. I hardly ever say. I don't remember the last time we even talked about JD.
You're right. He's planning the presidency when they get rid of Trump.
So you think it's Musk Vance?
Possible.
Hey, you know who? Stay away from the stairways. Because, people put the leg out to trip you going down the stairs. Watch out.
They have bloodlust, don't they? Murder in their hearts. Just amazing stuff. I don't see Jade and English, not her first language, I guess, but and J.D. Vance and where's he been? Haven't heard anything from him. We heard from him yesterday. You're not paying attention. You have no idea what's going on in the world. And ABC News pays the people on The View. ABC News pays her many millions of dollars a year to spread this incoherent, brain-damaged Democrat Party propaganda. J.D. Vance on the same subject.
The Democrats just voted to shut down the government, even though we had a clean CR, because they didn't want to give the president negotiating leverage during his first term. or during the first year of his new term. And number two, because they would rather shut down the government and fight for global censorship bull. They've asked for a shutdown, and I think that's exactly what they're going to get.
Uh-oh, he used harsh language there. He did. And that's becoming more and more common. I don't think that enhances the political discourse, but I'm kind of old-fashioned when it comes to that. But there's J.D. Vance. Hey, Whoopi, did you see that? No, she didn't. And she does look like an Ewok. Is that an alien from an Ewok? Yeah, she looks like am I right? Kind of an Ewok? Like both sides of her head are shaved or something, and then there's this weird stuff going on. Looks like Star Wars. She's the bar scene wherever she goes. Just amazing stuff. And I have an update for you as well. Zero Hedge has this headline off of Capitol Hill: GOP to split bill, hold separate votes. Debt limit will not be a part of it as U.S. agencies prepare to shut down. Now, we'll see about all that. I say that nothing is done until it's done in this circumstance. There's going to be the congressional resolution, the continuing resolution, that will continue funding the government until March, which is good, because then that's off the table. And, oh, no, government shutdown at midnight, and little Timmy and little Debbie. The disaster relief for the Carolinas and the hurricanes and all of that stuff. And then the agriculture part. And so there will be 3 votes on those 3, and it will be difficult, I think, for the Democrats to vote against it, but they can always blame Elon Musk or something like that. But the doing away with the debt ceiling issue is an interesting decision. And also, let me say that we're not done until the votes are all done. In the meantime, everything is in play, still being negotiated. But the news breaking, we hear that House Republicans are likely to split the bill into pieces, hold votes on different titles in the bill, the continuing resolution, the debt limit, the agriculture, and the disaster relief. But this would allow each piece to pass or fail on its own merit. The Democrats will oppose all of it because they just want to burn the country to the ground. That's the thing about them. They're kind of funny when it comes to that, aren't they? I think so. I think they're, when I say funny, I mean like, the bad smell funny. That's the kind. Man, oh man. All right, let's take another phone call, Michael. Let's go to Nick calling from Purcellville, Virginia. Nicholas, you're on the Chris Plant Show.
Merry Christmas, Chris.
Merry Christmas to you, Nick. Thank you.
Thank you. And there's a Christmas plant, but I couldn't remember what it's called.
A poinsettia. A poinsettia?
There it is.
Yeah, Christmas plant, yes.
Anyway, the reason I called, Chris, the Congressional Budget Office has done a less than lousy job of advising Congress on any spending. Now, will President Trump shake the CBO tree and see what kind of nuts fall from it, or what are we doing with that thing?
Well, I've got to say right now, with everything in a state of flux, and with technically Joe Biden is still president, although it doesn't seem like it, right? And Kamala Harris had to stay in Washington because she might need to break a tie in the Senate and now it looks like there will be 3 votes and maybe more. And so Kamala might be called into the Senate to be the tie-breaking vote in a 50-50 Senate, right? And President Trump is playing poker, and he's not letting on. He's really not letting on. Well, because we know he doesn't really want to do away with any debt limit for the United States government. He doesn't want to do away with the debt ceiling, but that's what he's saying right now because he's playing several moves ahead, right? And once he assumes the presidency on January 20th, he has a basket full of things that he said he wants to do on day one. And right now, I think he's kind of playing it close to the vest. And we don't know, truthfully, Nick, but I know that I'm confident. Let me say, it's not like he called me and told me that he's got a long-term strategy here. I have a very high level of confidence that Trump has a strategy in place, and he's outplaying everybody in the room. That's kind of where I am. And yesterday I was a bit spun up about the debt ceiling announcement by President Trump. And now I'm not anymore because I know I'm just watching from the sidelines. I'm not in the room where they're having these discussions. And President Trump very often doesn't share it with people in the room. He just knows in the back of his mind this is what he's going to do next. And I'm pretty confident that he's got a plan.
Well, my concern is that particular office, and maybe that would be a place to start Vivek and in some kind of, actual, I think, are they a quasi-governmental institution? Because they say they're bipartisan, but they haven't been really, successful in getting their point across to Congress on spending.
Right.
And, that's kind of my concern about it.
What are they? Are they quasi-governmental? I honestly think that they're the kitchen cabinet, as Ronald Reagan referred to his closest advisors who are not government officials, but people that he sat around the table with and that he listened to their advice and sometimes followed it and sometimes didn't. But I think he brought in, and you're right, they're not going to go through Senate confirmation. It's not a real department. When they call it a department, DOGE, Department of Government Efficiency, it's kind of a joke term. And Skip, kind of, it's a joke term. It's a prank term because it's not a real government department. It will not become a government department or agency. They will not have an official government job or paycheck. They're going to be advisors. And they're going to make recommendations. And they're smart guys who are going to go in and they're going to be given the opportunity, access to look at all the waste and then make recommendations. And they can speak articulately to the public about it as well. But no, they're not an official government organ. Well, it's nearly the end of the week, and next week is Christmas week. I want to wish everyone a very Merry Christmas. We'll get by this stupid Washington stuff probably today, and it won't affect your lives at all. Have a very merry and normal Christmas. Remember normal for Christmas. Chris Plant Store has a lot of nice things to buy for Christmas as well, for friend and foe alike. And a very happy Hanukkah. And Hanukkah this year begins on Christmas Day, on December 25th, which there are varying reports on all of this. But I believe that the Christmas-Hanukkah coincidence overlapping on December 25th for the fourth time in 100 years, only for the fourth time in 100 years. I saw one report saying it's the first time in 100 years, but I don't think that's accurate. I think the overlap is the fourth time in 100 years. I want to wish everybody a very normal Christmas, a very Merry Christmas, a very happy Hanukkah. Don't hang out with Democrats. It's a lot easier. But if you have to, just be the adult in the room. Ignore them. They will be what they will be. They probably can't be helped. Certainly not over Christmas dinner. Merry Christmas, everyone.